These are some frequently asked questions regarding the role of the judiciary in California lawmaking. So first, does the judicial branch of state government play a role in lawmaking in California? Yes, members of the state and federal judicial branches do play a role in the California lawmaking process as part of our state government system of checks and balances. So, what kind of role does the judicial branch play in lawmaking, which is normally the purview of the legislative branch of government? Well, when California statutes or regulations are legally challenged, for example, then the state or federal court that makes a determination establishes a policy for the state. Of course, California statutes and regulations may be challenged on either federal or state constitutional grounds, among others. So, as a result, both federal and state courts may play a role in the state lawmaking process. When else does the judiciary play a role in lawmaking? Well, in addition to hearing legal challenges and ruling on them, both federal and state courts may be called upon to interpret California statutes or regulations. The judicial branch of the state and federal governments is granted its authority by the federal and state constitutions. In addition, the powers and duties of the judicial branch are enumerated in federal and state statutes. And statutory interpretation is a primary role of the judicial branch of government in both the federal and state lawmaking processes. In fact, the courts are regularly called upon to interpret some vague or hard to interpret statutes and regulations. What's an example of California's judiciary having a role in lawmaking? Well, there's the landmark decision Serrano versus Priest, the Cal Supreme Court in the early 70s. It originated as a class action lawsuit brought by public interest attorneys on behalf of California public school pupils. And essentially, the case revolved around some issues regarding public education as a fundamental right and discrimination against poor minority students. The California Supreme Court actually struck down California's public school general fund financing structure as a violation of the state's equal protection guarantee. And under the system, per pupil expenditures varied widely and depended on a school district's tax base. And these kinds of tax-based disparities resulted in significant inequality in educational expenditures on a per pupil basis, depending on what school district was around the state. And so the court decision involving also a follow-up Cal Supreme Court decision in 1976, 5 years later, Serrano essentially gave instructions to the California legislature on what would be required to fix the state funding statutes. And of course, the legislature subsequently decided to do so and made those changes pursuant to the instructions of the California Supreme Court. Clearly an example of how the judiciary plays a role in the lawmaking process.